Well, Rick, it is a pleasure to be here with you. We're here in your house, and we have created a pretty fun little friendship over the last couple of years. So it's an honor to sit down and get your story out there.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, it's funny because when I was younger, this is a podcast about exceptional people living extraordinary lives. And the thing that I love about you that make you exceptional is, number one, you have the greatest network, and you're always going out of your way to share your network. And I think that's unique. A lot of people miss that. You're kind of that connector piece. And because of that, everybody loves being around you and loves sharing with you their own networks as well. The second thing that I love about you is just your story. I mean, you built, when you were in college, you started Hogi Yogi. A lot of people obviously grew up eating Hogi Yogi and everything else. I've eaten there a million times or whatever else, and teriyaki sticks, I must add. And you built that while you were in college, built that to over 90 locations, franchised it out and everything else.
Yeah.
It's a phenomenal story.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. That was phase one of my life. Now I'm in phase two.
Phase two right now. Well, we'll get into that a little bit more too. But tell us a little bit. I mean, you're in college. Let's back it up a little bit. When you were in college, did you know that you wanted to go into the restaurant business, or what were you like in college, and how did it come about to go into the restaurant business?
You know, I never thought I would be in the restaurant business, ever. Growing up, I was very entrepreneurial. I always wanted to have my own business. As a matter of fact, I went to Brigham Young University, BYU. Matter of fact, at my freshman year, I started a company. It was a computer supply company, and I didn't know anything about computer supplies, but knew that there was a need for. Back in those days, there was 5 1/4 diskettes. I don't know if that's probably even before your time. Actually, there was 8-inch diskettes even before that I was kind of in, but I saw a niche in selling diskettes, and so I started selling. I went to the BYU bookstore and told them that I had a company, and I named it CompuSpec Computer Supplies, and I was selling computer supplies. And what I found out is that I didn't even know you needed a business license to do this kind of stuff. So backed up a little bit. My brother Mike, who's one of my best friends, is a CPA. He said, "Oh, you got to have a business license." Anyways, launched that company. In my sophomore year, I had an opportunity to sell it, and did that. We serviced over 25 universities, all their bookstores, with computer supplies, diskette holders, quick reference books. Back in those days, they didn't have, at colleges, they would have WordPerfect and called Lotus, is the spreadsheet. Yeah. And you didn't know really how to use it, so you had templates, and I used to sell the templates that laid over the keyboard, so you knew how to use them in quick reference books. And we just did really well. I had the opportunity to sell it, and so I did.
Well, that's quite a vision you had, because that was at the beginning of the computer age. How did you even know how to get all those supplies and how to? I mean, you didn't know much about business. It sounds like.
Yeah, I had a sister that was doing something similar to that in the Bay Area, and so I just kind of dove into it here. And the reason I did get out of it is because my brother had an idea, which I thought he was crazy, and he wanted to go into the food business. So he was a CPA, had graduated and got his master's from BYU, and became friends, did tax work for Pete Harmon. Pete Harmon was Kentucky Fried Chicken. Pete Harmon's sure. Kentucky Fried Chicken. And Pete kind of took my brother Mike under his wing and said, "Hey, you need to get into the food. This is what we did, and this is how we made it work." And that was back in the late 80s, and fried chicken was kind of the thing back then. Still, it isn't now, but it was back then. And you need to get into something that's going to have a good product life cycle. And right then there was a company called Subway, and they were kind of coming this way. I think they had 1 or 2 stores in Utah, not very many. And we kind of and they were busy and they were doing well. And so we signed up to be their development agent in Japan, because we had lived over there. My brother had lived over there. We thought we were going to be the development agent over there and open all of Japan. And I was still finishing school, and it didn't work out. They kind of pulled the carpet from underneath us. So we're kind of competitive, so we started our own. So we wanted to do hoagie sandwiches. And at the time, my brother was dating a girl, and her dad was an inventor and invented this yogurt machine that would mix vanilla or chocolate yogurt with any mix-ins. So you could create thousands of yogurt combinations. And so
this was new at the time.
It was
this is
very
when frozen yogurt was just getting big as well then.
Yeah. Soft server's already out, but ours was hard pack yogurt. And then you added mixes, you could create any flavor in non-fat yogurt and vanilla or chocolate base. And matter of fact, you have 35,000 different combinations of flavors if you think about it. And with all because we had over 60 mixes.
Wow.
And so we said, okay, we have two trendy foods, hoagie sandwiches, and yogurt. So what do we call it? Well, once we were, one Sunday evening, my family, our extended family, we were all together, and we told them, my brother and I told them what we were going to do. And we're going to have a shop that sold sandwiches, hoagies, and yogurt. And we didn't know what to call it. And my dad said, why don't we call it Hogurt Yogurt? And my mom said, well, how about Hogi Yogi? And we all laughed, and that was the best name ever because it was catchy and funny, and it represented who we were, hoagies and yogis, Hogi Yogi.
I love it. So your mom actually was the one that
my mom came up with the name. And then where do we start? We'd never been in the food business, and so we just dove right into it. We raised a little bit of money, $100,000 is all, and we opened up our first restaurant.
And did you guys go open that or go raise money from family and friends, or did you seek out some
we had
investors?
one investor that put $100,000 in.
Okay.
And then family just kind of a little bit here and there. But it got our first restaurant open.
And where was that one at?
That was it was going to be in Orem, but it ended up being in Logan because the site came up.
Oh.
But then soon after that, our second location opened up in Orem. And the first Logan location wasn't really that busy. And we're like, oh my gosh, what did we get ourselves into this time? And then our Orem location opened in the winter, and it really wasn't that busy because yogurt,
it's not really
a little
what you're
cold.
thinking about in the winter.
And it started getting a little bit busy in the summer, and we started getting busier and busier, and it did really well, the hoagies and the yogis, because you have people that want to eat lunch, and then you have a dessert item. Mm-hmm. So you would get the lunch crowd, and then you'd get a crowd at night for the yogurt, and you'd get both during those times as well. And so it did okay, but then winter hit, and both stores slowed down, and it was really tough.
This is your first winter after opening?
This is the first winter after opening up both of them. But we didn't want to give up. I was still in school, so my projects at school...
Were you guys turning a profit at this point?
No.
Okay.
Oh, absolutely not.
You're sucking money.
No, and we're kind of scrapping money together. My brother's doing taxes for people and making some money. I'm a student, but I had a little bit of money from having sold my computer supply business, CompuSpec Computer Supplies. And so we're just kind of limping along, getting going. Anyways, we opened up our third store, and we said, let's just do it. And so it was just down from BYU campus, right on Bulldog Avenue.
I've eaten
And we opened it, and it did okay, and it did better and better. And within 2 or 3 months, we had lines out the door. But then what it did to our other stores is it gave it name recognition and branding, and the word got out. And both of those stores, the Orem store and the Logan store, did better. Then we opened up a fourth store.
I want to stop you real quick. How did you have the guts to open a third store when
we
the
had
other two
to?
weren't
We couldn't fail.
You just said,
And-
we'll just keep going. We're either gonna. I like the idea. You're either like, well, we're either gonna fail large or we're gonna make this thing work.
Exactly, and we weren't going to fail because that's not in our blood.
I love it.
And so we opened up a fourth store, an American Fork, and right out of the chute, it just lines out the door.
Wow.
Our hoagie sandwiches were great, but our yogurt was so unique because where else can you create your favorite yogurt flavor?
Yeah, I mean, this was what year was
mixes?
this back then?
1989 is when we started.
Wow.
So now we're in 91. And so the American Fork store did well. We opened one in Springville. It was gangbusters right out of the door. What do you think happened to our other stores? They all went up in sale. And we started learning that it's branding, it's name recognition. And then you can use your marketing dollars more efficiently. All of a sudden, we could buy food and have a little bit of negotiating power.
So did you have to get creative structuring those deals? Because at the time, you didn't have much on the books to show. Or did you guys have enough capital that you just kind of went in? And
after we opened the BYU store, then everybody was interested.
Got it. Then they were coming to you.
They were coming to us. Matter of fact, we have never gone anywhere to market Hogi Yogi. Never. People always just came to us.
And so did you franchise those to other operators, or did you guys keep all those in-house? You kept ownership of all of them?
We of course, we ran out of money after the third store.
Okay.
And so the other option, there's only one other option, and that was franchising. And so we started franchising, and people just came out of the woodwork. And that was our way, our only way to grow.
So was it hard to keep that culture and that branding that you had wanted once you started sending out, franchising it out to operators, or were you able to maintain that pretty well?
The branding?
As far as the branding and just the overall feel, the quality of everything.
Yeah, it's a great question. You know what? All went back to the drawing board, and it went back to my BYU classes. I was a marketing major, and so all of our projects that we did was surrounded by Hogi Yogi, and we kind of had a following. And
so you're still in school?
I'm still in school.
Did everyone just think you were crazy? It was amazing,
they
obviously.
Maybe thought we were crazy after the second store, after the third store. Then they were kind of a founder as well.
Yeah, you had everyone coming after you, probably wanting to be a part of it.
And so it was fun that people, because you do everything in case studies in school, and they all felt part of it, and it was great. And
it's cool.
And they helped us put together our franchise documentation for selling franchises, and then there's all the legal stuff that went along with that we had to hire out, of course. But all the marketing, all those things, classmates helped us do that.
So you were literally doing this through your classes in school.
Absolutely.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, and payment, what do you think payment was? Free food.
Sure,
so
hoagies and
it
yogurt.
Was great, and they loved it. And I still have some of those friends.
Did any of them become operators or buy franchises?
Yeah, there was actually one that did become a franchisee. Yeah.
And so you guys just had a great run. I mean, you built this thing up to over 90 franchises. You started doing teriyaki sticks. Tell us about that. How did you decide to bring that into the
Hogi Yogi is doing really well, and we're into it now 5 years. I think at 5 years we had about 25 restaurants, Hogi Yogis, and we saw a concept down in the Phoenix area, and it was a Japanese fast food type concept, and it was doing really well. And we were looking at it and saying, "Oh my gosh, what if we had Hogi Yogi and teriyaki sticks?" Because we're kind of looking at larger spaces. What if we put them under one roof and co-branded them, so that you have people that are healthy and people that teriyaki sticks. There was not Asian fast food anywhere. It was before Panda.
Sure.
Panda's kind of the king now, but there wasn't anything. So we decided to do that, and we opened our first teriyaki sticks just right down from BYU. And it took off right out of the chute, very popular. We just didn't start, we did focus groups first.
Okay.
So we had some Japanese people that were UVU culinary students. They came to our house and they cooked, and we would bring in focus groups. And, we understood how to do that from marketing classes or some of our...
So you're unique in the sense that you actually used every part of your degree to build this business, because usually people use a part of it, right? But it's very unique. I love that you were applying so much of what you were learning in college as you built the company up.
Matter of fact, a lot of the professors even became part, and they would consult for free because they just loved it.
Yeah.
And still to this day, I'm really good friends with them. And for years, I went back and spoke in the marketing classes and some of the consumer behavior classes. But it was just fun. So we ended up co-branding Hogi Yogi and teriyaki sticks. Some of that we had opened up independently.
Okay.
And it just started growing fast, and we. Some big breaks that we had were getting into colleges and universities, amusement parks. So we were at one point in BYU, UVU, SUU, Utah State, Weber State, Lagoon, and really,
very popular. Yeah, because the thing I loved about teriyaki sticks back, you guys had a curry bowl, I believe.
Yes, you remember the curry bowl?
Very well. Yeah. Because when I was going to UVU, it was so quick, but it was pretty healthy. Even though it's rice and everything, but with chicken, and it's a pretty healthy meal that you can get pretty quick. And you're right. It wasn't like there was anything like. There's a couple places like that now, and I usually go there at least once a week because I love teriyaki bowls. And so I bet I ate at Hogi Yogi teriyaki sticks at least once or twice a week.
Did you really?
When I was going to UVU. Oh yeah, for sure.
So you remember that store?
Absolutely, yeah. I remember the curry bowl.
Yeah, I probably served you.
You might have. Did you serve out of the actual restaurant?
You know what? One of the things I was over operations, marketing, and my brother was over more of the accounting and the legal. But I felt that you needed to be out there and know the pulse of the business. And so every lunch, I tried to drive somewhere and work a lunch somewhere. Oh. It was only an hour, then I'd get back to the office and work again. And so
how did the employees, did they appreciate that, or was that kind of tough
they
for
would
them
love
to
it.
have?
Franchisees loved it when I showed up. And I got behind the counter and I worked. Even some of our local restaurants that we actually owned, I would try to go in and just talk to customers and just get their comments and what do you they would tell me what they thought about the food or things that maybe we could do differently. And
did you do it undercover, or did you let them know you were the owner?
No. I let them know.
You got it.
They would ask because
Sure,
I would have a Hogi Yogi shirt on.
Got it.
But we did have secret shoppers that would come in and be secret shoppers in all the restaurants throughout the chain. And we just learned a lot. We didn't know how to do any of this, but we learned. We were the Ernst & Young runner-up 1 year. We had the Utah County Business of the Year. We were the Fab 50, one of the fastest growing businesses in the nation. And so we had a lot of great recognitions and awards, and it was just a great run. We opened up 94 restaurants. Wow. Total, and then we had the opportunity to sell. And
right. So tell us. So you worked. So this was your baby.
This was our baby.
Your mom named this company, right? Yeah. How did you come to this? Because you sold at a pretty good time, and we'll kind of go into what happened after that a little bit. But how did you come to the decision? And was that hard for you to actually sell what you had created?
It was really hard to let things go, and because the franchisees, our employees, and our franchisees is what made our business successful. Mm-hmm. And when we sold, our employees knew that we were there, and our franchisees knew we were there. But as a new group came in, they weren't used to a lot of the changes. As a matter of fact, it actually kind of turned in a different direction.
Well, what did happen? Because once you sold,
so we sold to a private equity company. Okay. They came in, and they kind of removed us a little bit from the restaurants, where we're used to being more part of it, so become more corporate. And I felt that I should be out there and working, but also
So did you stay on as like they kept you on as an officer?
I was actually I was still an officer and
gotcha.
In the company, and it got to the point where we're going in a different direction. We weren't needed as much, and so we parted ways. And that was hard because that was kind of our baby, but it was time. It'd been 22 years. Wow. We owned a lot of we owned real estate, and so that ended up being a very good thing. And it was just time to move on. We learned so much, and still those relationships today are just so important to us.
Well, with so much experience in that industry, because you went a completely different route afterwards, how did you decide what to do next, and how come you decided not to stay in the restaurant business?
That is a great question. After we sold, I've always dabbled in real estate, and I put together a real estate development out by Eagle Mountain, Cedar Fork, and it was quite a large piece of property. And I love pheasant hunting. With my passion, I wanted to open up a pheasant hunting club, and so I got some partners together, the partners that we took the property down with, and we started a company called Wasatch Wing Clays, and it's now.
So that was more of a passion at the time. It was like, I love this. I want to do something now.
It was a passion at the time, but the fundamental business play is the real estate at some point, of course.
And and this is what I love about what you did there, because we've talked about this, obviously, me being in real estate, and I've been out there with you. I mean, how many times shooting pheasants?
Yeah, a lot of
I
times.
think we've gotten 7
Well,
or 8
shoot at
times.
pheasants. You really haven't hit any.
Yeah, if anybody
Actually, this guy's a really good shot.
Anti-hunter, you won't be mad at me because I always miss. But no,
well, that's why we have clays, so you go out and go do clay shooting. Huh?
That's right. The clays are much more afraid of me than the actual pheasants, I think. But no, it's always a great time, and you always put together such a good group. I've been out there with you with Jerry Sloan and Ty Detmer. And it's one of the cool things about having that space is that you're able to use it as a networking opportunity. Yeah. But you also are able to find a way to cash flow a giant piece of land. I mean, it's over 1,000 acres, isn't it?
It's a big piece. Overall, the whole ranch is 7,000.
7,000 acres. Yeah. And that's the beauty of what you did is you found, when most people buy land, you have to sit on it, and there's a holding cost to all that. And you found a way to at least turn a business out there while you wait to decide what you do next as far as a real estate play down the line.
Yeah, it's great. Now we're doing over 20,000 pheasants a year out there, and clay shooting is a big thing. Mm-hmm. You have golfing and all these things that corporate people do, but we found that people like to clay shoot, and so now we have 9 trap lanes, and we have a skeet. We have a thing called 5-stand with 7 throwers, and we have a sporting clay course up in the trees that has another 20 machines. And it's really we built a lodge out there. And talk about adversity. We built our first lodge. We saved up for it and just kind of scrapped it together. A beautiful lodge. Yeah. We had it for the club's been out there for 10 years. But we built the clubhouse after the 3rd year, I believe. And we had a situation and it burned down last year. Right. So now we're rebuilding that. But we're going to be bigger and better and so
was that tough? Because you had worked hard I've been there many times to shoot clays as well, and it is really a unique course. If you haven't been out to Wasatch Wing and Clay, if you want to try something different, like you said, it's really fun because shotgun shooting, you don't have to be that good of a shot because it sprays, and so you can hit the actual clays. But the cool thing about the clays is you have 9 different areas where they either scoot across the ground, they come overhead, they come from both sides at a time, they come 3 at a time. So you really, it's much more entertaining than just a normal skeet shoot.
That's up in our sporting clay course, and there's actually 10 stations, and at each station, if you remember, there's 2 throwers, and sometimes they come over the top, and sometimes they bounce off the ground, and sometimes they come across, and it's just fun. People love it. Yeah, they love it. And then we got trap, where it goes out and oscillates in different places, and skeet, which comes out from the side.
Right.
And then
and so when they burned because it was arsons, right? I believe.
You're
not sure yet.
We don't know, but that kind of made sense.
So what? How hard was that? Because you guys, it was beautiful. I did eat there one time with you guys. We had breakfast out there once, and it was a beautiful big clubhouse and burned to the ground. What? Walk us through that day, your feelings when you went out there and saw that your clubhouse was burned.
It was terrible. I was actually I was asleep.
Okay.
I have a friend that lives out by the ranches, which is right next to our property, and he was coming home late from work, and he was pulling into his subdivision, and he can see our ranch, and he says, "There's an orange glow out by your ranch," and I see a fire engine coming down Highway 73. And he goes, "I'm going to drive out there." And I didn't know if it was a dream. I got, I threw some clothes on, got in the car, got him back on the phone, called my partners. By the time we went out there, there was 4 or 5 fire trucks out there. And it was engulfed. Wow. Just totally engulfed. And those big logs, they just glow. And they asked us if they wanted us to put it out, and we could clean it up later, or we could save a little bit of money and let it burn down. And so we chose just to let it burn down. We didn't.
Yeah, at that point.
Yeah, at that point.
And it's in the middle of nowhere, so it's not like it was gonna burn up any other houses or anything else like that.
Right. So we're rebuilding a beautiful brand new lodge, and things are just moving along. We're busy, and actually having it burned down gave us a lot of recognition
because
we had just an amazing pheasant hunting season. Hunting season 7 months, but I don't know if people felt sorry that it burned down, but it sure put us on the map and gave us some great name recognition and branding, and we just had a phenomenal this last year.
No, so that's great. Well, so being one thing that I think a lot of business owners struggle with is finding balance in their lives. You built in 20 years you built a huge franchise company that you ended up selling and everything else. Was there a sacrifice as far as, because you are a family man, I think people think of you as a family man. How did you manage the time that you spent raising your family of 5 kids versus building this? And how did you, help people listening that maybe are struggling with, okay, I'm new in my company, or you've been building your company for several years, but you're just not being able to get that balance. Walk us through, like, how do you go through a day? How do you balance your life? And how did you do it at that time, I guess?
Right. Well, family is my number one priority, always, over business, anything else. And that was always my priority. But we did work hard. But I felt that we should be, not only balanced with your family life, but you need to be balanced with work, because we've got to provide for our families. And then also fun. And so with all that and service, and so with all that in mind, how my day went is that I get up. I still do it today. I go to the gym at 5 o'clock. I'm at work by 8 o'clock, and the day just goes. And then I always came home at 5 o'clock and had dinner with the kids. And did
so you
whatever.
Would come home every night and
always
be there at 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
Wow.
When there were day trips that I did.
Sure.
And every once in a while, that I would need to stay on site to a restaurant, especially in the beginning when we opened up restaurants. I opened them.
Yeah.
And eventually we had a team that went out and did that, and then just became day trips of going out to see the restaurants and kind of just giving support. But I'd work till 5, be with the kids, and then I would go back. We had some stores just below the BYU campus that were just barn burner stores. So the peak hit at about 9 o'clock. So I'd go work at a lot of these stores and be part of it. And I thought that was very important. I also felt it was very important to include my family in everything that we did with the business.
How did you do that? How did you involve
the kids? We'd have dinner at our restaurants all the time.
It's an easy way to do it.
We did that. We had
breakfast, lunch, and dinner at Hogi Yogi.
We ate down there a lot, but the kids would come down. Sometimes I'd come down with some of the babies, and I'd just check on stores. But at least I was there in the presence and understood what was going on. And I'd go around to different stores. But one thing that we did, we got very large, and there's a lot of vendors, turkey vendors, and produce vendors, and so we had the opportunity there was a lot of perks in the business where you go to food shows, or people would send you on trips. And I was always able to take the family to go do those things. So I always tried to include the family, but family was always the most important. I was able to coach soccer and, coach baseball and be involved in my son's basketball and football and all those things. And so we never lost sight of any of that, and we were able to do that.
Was there ever a time when you felt like you got out of balance?
Oh yeah. There were times when the business was just so busy, and not that I didn't make it home and those things, but you're just tired because you hadn't slept enough. But you get to a point where you really get into your groove, and you got your exercising down, you've got your family down, you got your work part of it down, you have a church calling, you're doing that. And I also provided a lot of service in the community. I had the opportunity to serve as the president of the Cougar Club and be on the executive board.
Oh, you were the president of the Cougar Club
for 8 years.
So is that where you started? Because you're a master networker. Was that kind of where you started developing that a little bit?
It probably was. Just throughout all the years and all the restaurants and all the events that you do with the Cougar Club, and we were a big sponsor for BYU Athletics, UVU Athletics. You go to a lot of functions. You just get to know a lot of great people, and that's kind of where it started, and where the networking started. And it was really fun to work with people. I also volunteered and helped with marketing for the Stadium of Fire. I did that for almost 12 years, a long time. And just really gained some great friendships. And then you always have church callings and those things that come along with the church callings. And so life was very, very busy for many years.
So do you stay that busy now, or do you relax a little bit more now? Because now you work with the Ken Garff Group, and you basically help raise money for your charity, Keys to Success. That's what you seem to always be doing. You guys do amazing events and and fun things. But so do you relax more now, or do you still run this rigid schedule?
I always thought, you see people that have that are done with work, maybe retired, and there was a short time when I didn't work, and that that was not a fun point in my life, because what I learned is that I'm happy when I'm engaged, challenged, and busy. And so by re-engaging back into a job that's challenging, and I was accountable, and so I had the opportunity to work with the Ken Garff Foundation and raise money, which there wasn't really a system in place that was real formal. And that really engaged me and got me excited. And I'm the happiest when I have deadlines and challenges. And with that job, it's given me the opportunity. We have 3 great programs. One that's called Road to Success. It's a reading program for kids. One that's Keys to Success, which is a program that recognizes and rewards students for academic achievement, scholarships. And we started a brand new program just 3 years ago. The number one need in the state of Utah are technical jobs.
Sure.
If you go along Silicon Slopes and along the Wasatch Front, coders and programmers, there's thousands of jobs that go unfilled. So we started a program called Code to Success, which is a summer coding boot camp. It's free for the kids for 9 weeks during the summer. And so it's all about giving back. These programs need to be funded. And so that's what I do, is help fund these programs. We have a team that runs the programs. But now it's all about giving back to the community.
And that's how you challenge yourself, is you find these causes and then put the effort into it?
Exactly. Okay. And what I've learned, we have to, these programs cost money to administer, and you've been a great supporter for years and years, and we so much appreciate that.
Yeah, no, it's a cool cause.
And we appreciate everything, but because without the business community, there may be one business that could fund it all, but that's not the point. The point is to engage the community, the business community, people, and to get them engaged in our program. We have so many businesses that are part of it.
So there's so many people that have great causes and great charities. You've been very successful in raising money for yours. How does one go about creating a situation where you are able to raise the money? Like, what advice would you give to somebody if maybe somebody just started a nonprofit, or they have a charity cause they believe in, but they struggle to raise money? How did you go about doing that? What advice?
The only thing that I knew how to do going into this, because when I started, there was no formal training. We just were going to raise money for these great, awesome programs. What I did know is all based on relationships. So what I decided to do was I was just going to build relationships. And how do I get I wasn't going to go cold call. That's just not me, and I don't want to do that.
Right.
And so I started putting on some events. We went clay shooting and pheasant hunting. We went fly fishing. And it really got me in front of the right people, the people that own these businesses, some of the top business leaders.
Explain that. Why do you think that attracted those people? Because I know exactly what you did, but explain it to our audience why that was so attractive to the right people, instead of just calling
everybody wants a fun experience, right? Mm-hmm. And so I put together events that were just fun. And we still do those today, just really fun events all the time, and they're very engaging, and events that maybe some people may not be able to do, or they could do them, I guess, but they don't. Mm-hmm. It could be you've done some of these really fun trips.
Yeah, the thing I like about your guys' events, one of the things that drew me to your group was you go above and beyond. This is one of my principles for networking in general is, if anybody's ever coming to your event to do you a favor, you've completely screwed up. Yeah. That's my theory on networking and events. And so when I throw events, I want every person there to feel privileged and lucky that they're there, right? I want them to feel like they're part of something cool. And so for me, and you do the same thing. So like the events I've gone to of yours, we flew on a private helicopter to go fly fishing the Green River, right? Yeah. And you do a charity golf tournament that I've signed up for again this year, and you have 18 holes, and every hole you can win a free car. It's the funnest golf tournament I've ever played. I don't like golf, and I loved your tournament. Yeah.
So we don't do the traditional gala events. There's so much competition in the.
There's a lot of competition
in the world of people trying to do good things, foundations and charities. There's so many great causes. So we have to differentiate what we did, and so we do 2 fundraising events. And so everybody has a golf event, right? But how can we make our golf event different? Well, we've done it. And the way that we've done it is that all 18 holes, If you get a hole in one, you win a car.
Right.
How many people do that? Well, not very many. Okay, then let's shorten up the holes to 145 or less. And then what if we made the holes 8 inches instead of 4 inches? And then what if we put 3 8-inch holes at every hole? Okay, last year we had 5 people win holes in one. And so instead of giving them a brand new car, right? We give them a 1-year lease. And they are so excited, so excited. And this year, 36 foursomes is usually what you do for a golf tournament, and you do it in the morning and you finish up at lunch. Well, we filled that very, very quickly 4 months ago. So to challenge ourselves, we said, let's do 72 foursomes, and we'll do a morning event and an afternoon event. Now it's challenging.
Yeah, sure.
To fill that, but we're only 6 spots. We're almost sold out, and the event isn't for another month, and so that's fun. But people come and they win cars.
Well, not only that, but you have the cars out on the course, and every single hole. I remember one of the holes. He's like, "All right, at this hole, the sponsor of the hole is giving everybody a free suit, so get fitted for your suit." I'm like, "Wait, what?" It's like a $500 suit, and then the next hole, it's like you're giving away watches, and I'm just like, "This is crazy." But it was such a cool event. I've called like my top friends, and then one of my guys that's a ringer at golf, that's who's coming with me this year, because I want to impress them and I want to win, right? It's a really cool event. It's a cool event. I feel lucky to be able to come and do it. And so that's kind of the feeling I get. And other things I've done with you guys, I think we did a box suite with you guys for the Lion King Broadway. Yeah. Right? I brought my best friends that would be friends to your cause as well. And so it's just, I don't know, that principle of networking, that you guys do events that people want to be a part of. And I think that's for anybody that's listening. And, I get told all the time, I go speak at BYU about networking. I have courses I sell online about networking. And the number one principle I try to get across again is, anything worth doing is worth doing right. Like, do it right. Yeah. If you can only do one a year, do it right once a year. If you do it right 5 times a year or 2 times a year, whatever. But
what I've learned at our events is that everybody has to win. So the kids win for our charity because they're getting the opportunity to participate in our programs. They win. The participants, you coming to our event, you win because you have a good time, and plus you're networking with other like-minded business owners, like very successful business owners like yourself. And thirdly is that we're all having a great time and the whole cause works. And so it's a win-win-win for everybody.
Well, and if you walked out of one of your events not winning anything as far as prizes go, the caliber of people you're able to get there to, in and of itself, makes it worth the time and effort to be involved. But
it does.
Well, I appreciate you. I've met so many great people through our friendship. I've had so many good experiences, and I think people
you've been a great friend over the years.
Well, it's going to be to many more good times, but I appreciate you coming on and telling the story, and you have a great life. I love it.
Oh, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.